About a year ago, when Mark Zuckerberg announced the steps we're taking to protect elections from abuse and exploitation, he started by going back to Facebook's mission, which is all about giving people a voice and bringing people closer together. Quote, "Those are deeply democratic values, and I don't want anyone to use our tools to undermine democracy because that's not what we stand for." End quote. When it comes to election integrity, we take our responsibility extremely seriously. And that's why we are devoting significant time, energy, and resources to this issue, as you probably saw on the stock price as well. In the lead up to the US presidential election in 2016, we were slow to identify the new risks and bad actors, and we were slow to act. We are determined to make this right. As our Chief Operating Officer, Sheryl Sandberg, recently told Congress, quote, "We're investing heavily in people and technology to keep our community safe and keep our service secure. This includes using artificial intelligence to help find bad content and locate bad actors. We're shutting down fake accounts and reducing the spread of false news," end quote. We've also introduced new ad transparency features and fact-checking partnerships with leading journalistic organizations. Ultimately, safeguarding our democratic processes is a job for all of us, for governments, civil society, and the private sector. While we cannot and do not do this work alone, we are committed to making Facebook a force for good in democracy. Let's start off by talking about what we're doing in Canada and in Quebec. While our federal election isn't until 2019, we started this work actually in 2017, with an eye toward the number of provincial elections, including the one in Quebec, that would happen over the course of the next 2 years. The basis was a report released by the Communications Security Establishment, or CSE, that outlined the potential cyber threats to Canada's next federal election. Account hacking and misinformation were identified as the biggest threats. In response, we announced our Canadian Election Integrity Initiative, a package of 5 initiatives to help protect election integrity on Facebook. These include: 1, the launch of a new 2-year partnership between Facebook Canada and Media Smarts to promote digital and news literacy. 2, the release of our cyber hygiene guide for Canadian political parties and politicians to support cybersecurity, and I believe copies of the guide are available for distribution today. 3, the launch of an emergency Facebook cyber hotline for political parties to help address any cyber challenges in real time, including suspected hacks. 4, the announcement of a Facebook cyber hygiene training program open to all Canadian federal political parties. And 5, an advertising transparency test in Canada enabling users to click info and ads on a Facebook page and see all the ads that are running from that page, whether or not the person is in the intended audience for the ad. This last element, I'm proud to say, launched first in Canada and is only now available across our global network. Now, since that initial announcement, we have taken additional steps specifically to address the spread of misinformation. In June, we launched a third-party fact-checking partnership with Agence France-Presse, or the AFP, to engage Canadian fact-checkers to review news stories on Facebook in French and in English in order to rate their accuracy. We don't believe that Facebook should be the arbiter of truth, which is why we are partnering with independent fact-checkers to ascertain the facts on any given issue. Stories that the AFP rate as false have their distribution reduced in newsfeed, dropping future views on average by more than 80%. Facebook will also send notifications to anyone who has shared and anyone who is about to share the false story, advising them that the story has been fact-checked. Through our partnership with Media Smarts, we are working to help people spot false news in order to make more informed decisions, including what they share. Our joint program, called Reality Check, currently includes videos and tip sheets in French and in English. In fact, in the lead up to the Quebec election, Media Smarts released a new video called Authenticity 101. It outlines 5 essential steps people can take to help ensure that the information they find online is accurate. The other important step we are taking specifically in Quebec is to remind candidates and their page admins how to keep their accounts secure during the provincial campaign. Just prior to the start of the electoral campaign, we conducted outreach to all Quebec political party and candidate page admins, reminding them about two-factor authentication and ensuring they have access to our cyber threats crisis line. And we sent in-app notifications to all political page admins in Quebec, which will appear at the top of their feed, reminding them about turning on two-factor authentication. These specific efforts, all part of our Canadian Election Integrity Initiative, are a direct response to the key risks identified by the CSE, namely cybersecurity and misinformation online. Of course, our work can never be done, and we remain vigilant vis-a-vis bad actors and new and emerging cyber risks. We expect to roll out additional election integrity measures in the months to come leading up to the 2019 federal election.